Welcome to Wholehearted Healing with Jo, the podcast where we dive deep into the journey of healing body, mind, and soul. I'm Jo, a manual osteopath and holistic health coach, here to help women like you reconnect with your authentic self, release what no longer serves you, and step into your highest potential. Together, we'll explore empowering tools, have soulful conversations, and transformative practices to guide you toward wholehearted living. Whether it's emotional healing, physical alignment, or finding balance in your life, this is your space to grow, heal, and thrive. So take a deep breath, settle in, and let's begin this beautiful journey together. Hey guys, welcome to another episode on the Wholehearted Healing with Jo podcast. We're talking about the difference between mental stress and physical stress. So I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you are settled. Maybe some of you are grabbing like a tea or a coffee, or maybe you're driving or whatever you're doing while you're watching this or listening to this. I hope you're doing well, and hopefully things aren't too crazy, and hopefully you're not dealing with stress, although I'm sure if you've clicked on this, you either are dealing with it or have dealt with it before. So I wanted to talk about this difference between these two because this comes up a lot for me when I'm working with clients. And a lot of people will say, but Jo, I'm not stressed. Meanwhile, they're also telling me how shitty their body feels or how tight their muscles are. And there's this disconnect usually of what we think stress is. And stress is a very kind of broad term. I think that's part of it. And people link like stress with anxiety, and stress, you know what I mean? Like we associate it sometimes on a bigger scale than what it can really show up as. So I wanted to talk about these two and kind of give you the differentiation between the two of them so that you can identify when and where or how it's maybe showing up for you. And maybe if you're somebody who is dealing with physical stress, but you don't really feel like mentally stressed, then you start to understand a little bit more of like how these sorts of things show up in our body, but also that it can show up in our mind as well. And so it is really this connection between the two, and they do play off of each other for sure. Our mental stress typically is, and this is what a lot of people associate stress with, is like, feeling overwhelmed or maybe a little bit anxious, or we're worrying about things. We have fears. We're feeling, maybe we have got like deadlines and stuff that we feel like a lot of pressure around. Or we might also have like emotional or different types of pressures going on of like just how we feel, but it's like it's ruminating in our brain, in our mind, right? And so this can show up like with work pressure, relationship issues, financial concerns, and even sometimes too for people who like replay the past of things that have already happened, right? Or maybe you're replaying or playing out the fears in your mind, right? That is a lot of our mental stress. That's what a lot of people link to feeling stressed. But we can also have our physical stress as well. This often, what I see for a lot of people, will be the feeling of like tight muscles or just tightness kind of all over the body. It can be physical injury or a strain, any illnesses, or even any like external factors. So again, we can think of like just things that are influencing our body. So our foods, our environments, right? That sort of thing. Some examples of like how you can see physical stress playing out is like over exercising, not getting enough sleep, not getting enough nutrition or proper nutrition, or if you're recovering from like injury, illness, or even like surgery or something like that, right? There's stress obviously happening for the body itself. And so the thing with both of these, mental and physical stress, is it actually influences our nervous system kind of almost in the same way. Our body doesn't like know the difference between different stressors. It just knows it's stressed, right? And because there is this mind and body connection, again, it shows up and it can overlap. And sometimes we can have both of these types of stressors. So there is this overlap between the two. And then you can also have like your physical, injury, illness, that sort of thing can lead to mental stress. And our mental stress can lead to physical discomfort. So there is this play on both of them. And I think the big thing is realizing like what is driving the other thing, right? And we'll get into that. So mental stress does activate fight or flight. They both do, right? They both activate the fight or flight response, which releases cortisol, releases adrenaline, right? Like kind of ramps us up, right? And this is like from a mental perspective, we can lead into symptoms of, tension headaches or neck tension, or maybe we're going to be tired, digestive issues, anxiety, right? So this is how like the mental stress is also linked to the physical as well. And then this also, when we have this mental stress, we have this fight or flight. Our emotional regulation is not good. Our focus, our decision making, our ability to even just handle small challenges that pop up, right? Like our tolerance becomes quite low. With physical stress, this is what people talk about as like inflammation, right? So we can like trigger inflammation. This is going to impact the body's function and how it's able to repair, recover, and renew itself, and go into kind of a restful state. It's gonna struggle to rest. Symptoms, again, are muscle tension, which I talked about, like tightness in the body, right? We can have pain. You can feel really tired. You might have a weakened immune system, right? So there's all these components physically that it can influence. But also, if you've got physical symptoms, this can also impact your mental clarity and your mind, your mindset, kind of down the line. And it's going to be quicker or slower, depending on, kind of who you are. So there, like I said, there is this overlap. There's this overlap between just how we feel and that influences our mind, and vice versa. I know for me personally, I am a person who I don't shut my brain off very well. I think a lot. I can worry, fears can come up, but I'm always thinking. Like I'm always just like, okay, this and then that and then this and then that, right? I overthink almost more so. And at times it can be worry and stress and all those types of things, or fears. And for me, it definitely influences my gut, right? And so I could sit here and say, oh, I have all these gut issues. But really what's driving the gut issues is my nervous system and my overthinking and my brain. So that's where it's like, again, you have to identify okay, when my gut issues come up, what's going on? How am I feeling? Am I overthinking, right? Like what's the true full picture of what's happening in my life, rather than just looking at the isolated symptom. So like I had said, mental stress can be very much linked to our doubts, our fears, our worries, our, overthinking just in general, right? Just having a lot on the go and a lot of things that you have to process. And this can come with high pressure environments, right? Work, home life, school, even if you're in school. We can also have grief or unresolved emotions that can play into the mindset as well. And I think that's where a lot of the physical stress comes from, is we hold on to this tension, right? When we have stress, we have to think of what am I holding on to? Am I holding on to thoughts? Am I holding on to fears? Am I holding on to emotions, right? Because as a practitioner, somebody who literally puts their hands on people's bodies for a living, what I notice is that's almost what the body feels like. It's just contracted, right? When there's this stress and this tension in the body, whether it's from mental or from physical, there's this tension and this hold on the body. And so I always think what does this person need to let go of, or what are they holding on to that needs to be let go of? And so you can think of it that way in your life as well. And so again, physical stress, obviously emotions, right? We can also overexert ourselves, but also be under, not moving as much. I've had clients that once they start moving their body a little bit more, a lot of their tensions and their aches and pains start to kind of go away. Nutritional deficiencies, which we talked about, is also something again, if our gut is not functioning properly or optimally, that's going to create different tensions and discomfort throughout the gut and the rest of the body too, dehydration, right? All of those types of things start to create this tension and this stress on the body and the nervous system. So, like I had said, when we're looking to try to recognize, where am I? Why am I feeling this way? Is it from a mental stress or am I physically stressed, right? Did I not get enough sleep last night? Whatever the thing is, we can ask ourselves questions like, am I overthinking or mentally overwhelmed, right? Do I have mental stress, basically? Am I physically drained? So, and like, am I tired or tight, or, you know what I mean? Like, is there something more physical going on with me? And you can look for specific symptoms, but then you also have to look at, like I said, the situation around, like, when are those symptoms coming up? Are they only coming up when you're at work? Right? Like, maybe work is stressing you out and you just don't realize that you're holding on to that tension and carrying it then throughout your day and even when you're outside of work, right? Because you don't feel the stress. Once you're out of work, let's say, you might not feel the stress, but your body could still be holding on to it. So that's like the biggest difference. And as you can tell of like all the things that I've already said, like there's this overlapping that happens. So when you tell me you're not stressed because your life isn't stressful, but then you've got jaw tension and neck tension and you get headaches, I'm going like, there's definitely tension in your body. You're definitely holding on to stuff, right? There's definitely stress and things you're either worried about or there's something going on in your body that's creating the tension to begin with, right? Whether it's a movement issue or a physical like ailment, an injury, you know, some illness, whatever the thing is, there's something going on. And so if we're going to try to work through these things, obviously for both situations, our nervous system work can be very, very supportive. Mental stress, you can do things like journaling. You can, mental stress, you'd be surprised, like even getting some physical movement in, because sometimes we need to like get our body moving to just get the energy flow happening. So you can do movement. I would say like gentle movement, like do some stretching, go for a walk, right? Like do something kind of light. Some people like the more physical exertion, which we can definitely do if that's something that works for you. Other things for mental stress is like meditation, mindfulness, breath work. All those types of things can be supportive to kind of like just calm our brain and like have us have to, I don't want to say think, but focus on our body. So it takes us out of our mind and into our body. And that's why like things like, again, breath work can be really good because it gets you focusing on the inhales and the exhales, or meditations, especially if you're doing guided ones. It has you focus on something else. So it gets you out of this brain that's kind of, you know, overactive. Another thing that can also be supportive with mental stress, obviously, is like talking to someone, seeking support through like a trained professional or a coach or your friends, your family, right? Like whoever you kind of trust that you feel like you can kind of get things out to. And setting boundaries and making good time management for things is also important, because the more that we can start to delegate and say like, okay, I'm going to do this on this day at this time or whatever, then we can just like learn to be like, okay, that's when I get to be worried about it. Like I don't have to keep worrying about it all week or thinking about the fact that I haven't done that yet. Like set aside specific time for things and set aside time and create boundaries around your own self-care as well is going to be supportive. Physical stress, again, we're looking at that like kind of more rest and recovery when it comes to the body. Sleeping can be really supportive, especially if we're just like lacking sleep. Obviously, if you're not a great sleeper, that might not be the best or most ideal way for you to rest and recover. But we can look at our nutrition, we can look at our hydration. Again, we can look at moving our body in supportive ways. So not overdoing it, but if we need a hard workout, doing a hard workout. If we need to just move our body and get us stretching and get us moving in different ways because we've sat all day, then maybe we do some gentle stuff, right? So you can do different types of movement depending on what you feel you need. And then again, just making space and time for those self-care practices, giving yourself a break, giving yourself time to rest, giving yourself time to just decompress. Breath work, again, is like another overlapping one that can work with both. Movement, obviously, as well. Any of your physical exercises are going to be very supportive for not only the physical body, but also the mental body. If you're only doing, like, let's say you're struggling with mental stress and physical stress, and you're like, well, I want to do some journaling because I find that really works well for my mental stress. That's great. Just pair it up with something more physical as well. Like maybe do some stretching after, right? To just get the balance between the two. So again, there is this difference between the two, and you don't have to have mental stress to not be stressed, if that makes sense. You don't have to be stressed out about your job. Everything could be great in your life. But if you are sick or you are struggling with something physically, your gut's not right, your whatever, your body is stressed, right? And most of us have this sense of stress because our bodies these days are struggling a lot. Like a lot of people's bodies are struggling to keep up with the demands of life and just our food sources, right? And just the things that we choose to put into our body and what our coping skills are, right? So usually nervous system work is something that we need, as well as being able to release the emotions, because again, if we're holding on to things, that's going to be impacting our physical and mental stress levels. So there is a difference. If you are struggling to identify what is causing your stress or how it's showing up for you or how to get rid of it, definitely reach out to me. I do have my breakthrough sessions, which are single sessions that are nice because they're kind of get your toes wet kind of thing. It's an hour to an hour and a half where we sit down, you fill out a form kind of before, so I kind of get like a history of you and what's kind of going on, and we can pinpoint what's going on with you, how it's showing up for you, what's the root cause of the things that are popping up, some of the symptoms. So especially if you haven't been able to figure out certain things in your life, why you feel stuck, what's going on with your physical body, all those types of things, and just how to manage these things and work through these things. We do all of that. So we not only go through and figure out, okay, what's going on, but I give you tools and support that way to go home and now start implementing certain things. And then I also have my coaching program, which is called Elevate Her. I have the group and the private component of that. And it's 12 weeks. So that's obviously a longer duration. We work together. You get very direct support. Even the group program is very small amount of people, just so that I can give everyone the attention and the energy that they need to start to see change and to shift and to feel like they are getting the support that they need and starting to see progress. So if any of those are interesting to you, the links are down below to kind of find more information. You can book breakthrough sessions all on your own if you want. But if you do have any questions, you guys can reach out to me on Instagram. If you're on YouTube and you're watching this, definitely follow me on Instagram. I post way more on these topics over there, and little snippets and little tidbits here and there. And then you also get to see a bit of my life as well, because it's where I typically share a lot of my stuff. So, but yeah, otherwise that's pretty much it. So hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. Hopefully this was supportive for you. Hopefully, you got something out of this. And if you are somebody who definitely struggles with stress or anything like that, or you want to let us know, you can definitely comment down below if you're on YouTube here. Or like I said, feel free to reach out to me. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, wonderful evening, wherever you are when you're watching this. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.